What's going on, everybody? Regan here for Comic Vomit alongside Steven. And late last night, I got a call from a very excited Steven, and he said, we got to do a podcast tomorrow right away because Justice League Snyder Cut came out. I wish I could say I knew more about this, but I don't. We're actually going to watch and review the trailer. We've got Mr. Chad Hardin here with us today. What's going on, Chad?
Hey, just watching the trailer with you guys.
So Steven, fill me in here. Catch me up. What's going on? Why is this such a big deal?
I just love the fact that I said, hey, we need to do a podcast really quick on the new Justice League Snyder Cut, and you're like, great. What's that? So, so I don't know if you know, but a while back there was this really big phenomenon called the Marvel Cinematic Universe that basically culminated in Endgame a couple years ago. And the DC Comics were like, well, hey, we got to get in on this action. So they started with Superman, Man of Steel, and they basically gave the keys to Zack Snyder and said, Zack Snyder, we want you to do your version of the MCU, and they dubbed it the DCEU, something like that. And Zack Snyder is the director. He did 300. He did Watchmen. So he has a he's very good at cinematography, doing a very visual, pretty film. So he did Superman, Man of Steel, which made a little bit of money, but there was a lot of kickback because he made Superman emo. And then after that, they said, oh, we're going to do Batman versus Superman. And then they buried the lead, and then they did Justice League. Now, the interesting thing about this, not so much cool, but they literally started shooting Justice League before they launched in theaters Batman versus Superman, which tanked. So there was a lot of panic and turmoil going on because essentially they were trying to catch up in Marvel in 2 movies what they did in 10 movies. So they slammed in Wonder Woman, they did Flash, they basically tried to do so many stories, and then there was a lot of panic and kickback, and then there was a tragedy. The tragedy was that Zack Snyder's daughter died, unfortunately, and he had to step away. But there was a rough cut. He had a rough cut of the finished product, but when he stepped away, Warner Brothers hired Joss Whedon, who did the Avengers and the Avengers Age of Ultron, and they brought him in and said, hey, we kind of ate it with Batman versus Superman because people thought it was too dark. You're Joss Whedon, you made $1 gazillion with Avengers, so fix it, make it Marvel. And they did, and there was it came out in 2017 or 2018, Chad, around there?
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, it was just a muddy mess. Like, you could tell that it was a contrast in styles trying to intermingle in a 2.5-hour movie. They had the big kerfuffle because they had to reshoot 75% of the film. They brought in Henry Cavill, who plays Superman, but because he was shooting Mission Impossible, he had a contract. He wasn't allowed to shave his mustache. So they had to CGI out his mustache, which is why he had a rubber lip.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you go back and watch the original, it's a mess. It's a mess.
I didn't like him as Superman.
Oh, you kidding? He's got like this divot, this rubber divot right here to hide. It was just, anyways. So it fell flat, and basically it caused the DC universe plans to just fall apart.
Yeah.
But after that happened, there was this revival started in terms of release the Snyder Cut. So everybody was like, oh, well, they should have stuck with Snyder, gave him the time he needs, release the Snyder Cut. And last year, they finally, with the help of HBO Max, gave him a pot full of money and said, Zack Snyder, you go finish your cut of Justice League. And that's what the trailer came today.
Okay. So the original, not the original, but the one they released in 2017 tanked. That's what you're saying, didn't do well.
Well, it made money, but it didn't make Marvel money. Essentially what happened is it derailed their plans.
Okay.
And so they basically stopped, like they basically did the Marvel template where they announced 20 movies. They did Suicide Squad, and then which kind of fell flat, and then Justice League came out and fell flat, and then they kiboshed everything, and then Wonder Woman came out and revived everything.
It surprises me that, like, it would seem to me that it would be a quicker process to allow the man time to grieve, put a pause in production, bring it back, finish it, and release it, rather than going right back to the start again and doing the whole thing again with a different director. Like, but that's like that seems.
It's the Warner Brothers way.
Yeah. Wow, money to burn.
I think what happened was that it was just a nexus of issues. It wasn't just that his daughter died. It was just that they were feeling the heat from fandom in terms of what they did. Is because, you know, God bless Zack Snyder making pretty pictures, but the man doesn't know story. Mm-hmm. And he tried to take these characters, which people love. You know, it's similar to the brushback that fandom gave to The Last Jedi and how they handled Luke Skywalker. You've got characters that have lived over 100 years. Everybody has a firm idea. Tell me if I'm wrong, Chad, but everybody knows their vision of Superman. He epitomizes hope. And everybody knows Batman. He epitomizes darkness. That line that won't be crossed, and he is going to bring darkness to evil, to crime. And he just took it in a complete different direction. And it just wasn't working for the audiences at large.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are we going to watch both trailers and compare, or are you just going to watch the new one and...
Oh, well, we can watch the first one.
We'll watch the new one first.
Watch the new one
I might
first.
be curious just to see what the original was like too, just for the comparable.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to a little backstory here? Did you see the first Justice League?
Yeah, I've seen all the movies, and yeah. And if I was going to add anything, what I would add is, Warner Brothers is a little bit behind the eight ball because, the Marvel, the MCU movies, they were made by Marvel. Okay, the Marvel movies were part of Marvel Comics, whereas DC is really sort of removed from the filmmaking process. I mean, it's not like DC gets to go in and say, this is our movie, this is the way we want to do it. It's all Warner Brothers, and they might hire people to consult, but the DC movies are not made by the people at DC Comics, whereas Marvel movies are made by the people at Marvel Comics. So there's that, and I think that puts the DCU at a disadvantage because you might have DC consultants trying to get a certain vision made, but they're really sort of powerless, whereas Marvel gets to sort of run their own boat. But yeah, that would be the only thing I want to add.
Well, yeah, and just to echo off that, it's like Marvel handed it off to Feige, and he's really been the architect. Like he's hired out different, you have your Favreau and the brothers and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, he's the architect that signs off and everything. And the DC they basically ran it by committee and overseen by another committee of executives. So there's never really, and they tried to fix that with Jeff Johns, but that kind of hasn't worked out for them as well. But anyways, that's just to echo off of what you just said there. So why don't I pull up and I'll share our screen with you so you can see it as well, Chad.
Okay.
And here we go.
Now I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king comes.
So you can see that they're really focusing on the scenes that were cut out from the first movie. Because originally Cyborg and Flash had bigger roles, And a lot of that got substantially cut down when Josh Whedon took over.
I did my best. It wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I've told the truth. I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah.
It's mainly just focusing on the visuals. They're not really showing any story
No.
to it.
Like I said, the man knows pretty.
Guy's probably fought hundreds of thousands of other super beings on the other planets he's destroyed, right? And we have to assume he's won.
I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells. He's never fought us. Not us united.
Because I'm Batman. So there's the new Justice League trailer. So just for a comparison, why don't we jump over to the Josh Whedon trailer and just see how that compares. Because I think you'll find that right off the hop, the main villain, he's even changed his look. You still there, Chad?
Yeah, I'm just watching.
Okay. So this is the Josh Whedon version. Trailer, that is.
We have to be ready. You, me, the others. There's an attack coming from far away.
Not coming, Bruce. It's already here. The others. Where are they?
Arthur Curry, the Aquaman. It's on him.
Organic and biomechatronic body parts. He's a cyborg.
You should probably move. Barry Allen.
Whoever you're looking for, it's not me. You're the Batman?
They said the age of heroes would never come again.
It has to.
What are your superpowers again? I'm rich.
That, you can tell that's a Josh Whedon line.
Shall we?
It's good to see you playing well with others again. Just like a bat. I dig it. Maybe temporary.
Is it Sam Elliott?
I forget. No, it's not Elliot, no. It's actually the same actor that plays J. Jonah Jameson. So there you go.
Yeah, you can tell that that was a little bit Michael Bay'd up.
Yeah, and I don't know if you could also tell it's like the overlapping scenes that both trailers have, the color palettes are completely different. Zack Snyder plays in a lot of blues and dark hues, where Whedon, I think he was instructed that we need to lighten this up. And so there's a lot more reds, warm tones, and also an injection of your prototypical Joss Whedon humor. Exactly. So.
Perfectly timed bark.
What did you think of that movie? It was rough.
I mean, anytime you have an artistic endeavor that involves thousands of people, it's a miracle to pull off anyway. But there's an old expression: too many cooks in the kitchen. You get two people directing a film with two different visions, and it's going to get complicated, overly complicated. Maybe that's maybe that was the film's problem.
Yeah.
So I think I did enjoy the Snyder Cut more.
Really?
Yeah. Or the trailer. I mean, obviously I haven't seen the film, but I think I enjoyed the trailer more. I thought it was just more foreshadowing. You know what I mean? Just teasing a little bit more, not playing into the typical superhero, trailer. I mean, I think the Whedon trailer that we saw is the same superhero movie trailer we see every time.
Yeah.
And the Snyder one was definitely, it sort of had, I don't know if you've seen The Watchmen.
Yep.
On HBO, which was brilliant. I mean, my expectations for that show were so low, because Watchmen is almost religious in DC fans, canon. It's up there with the Bible, and that television show had a lot of people watching it that were going to be highly skeptical, but it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So,
Yeah, I agree with you. The series was beautiful. And it's been rightly so, winning awards left, right, and center. But ironically enough, the Watchmen movie was written and directed by Snyder. And the ironic thing is, if you look at the trailer we just watched and you compare it against his trailer for The Watchmen, I think they even use the same music. It's like they're almost parallel, which is interesting in itself. So the fact that you brought up the Watchmen series, it's ironic. What do you think?
It's interesting because when we go into these deep dives on these trailers and stuff, my perspective is completely different than yours.
Right.
Just because I'm not as deep into that as you are. And I found the second trailer we watched, which was the initial one from 2017, far better produced. And no, I don't know, I don't know the circumstances around this, but that director's cut of the HBO Max, that seemed like it was very rushed, put together.
Yeah.
There was no story. Now, I think the original one was set up for mainstream appeal, which is me.
Yep.
But even the use of music in that was better. Like, I found with the HBO Max version, would you two shut up? Hey! It's like they were trying to do kind of like what they did on the new Batman trailer with the Nirvana, Something in the Way, but it didn't work for me. That song to me didn't hit. It didn't, like, the vibe of that Nirvana song for the Batman trailer, it matched it just matched the total aesthetic of the scenes they were showing.
Right.
The darkness and the slowness of it, and that. This just seemed like a song that was put in after they cut a bunch of clips together.
I think it's the only song Zack Snyder has on his iPhone.
His epidemic sound.
He has it on loop. But I think it's his ringtone.
Yeah, but I mean, and again, so maybe I think what it is you guys are able to dissect it from a much different place, where I'm more of a mainstream guy, and that first one, like I think what you said, it definitely looks more traditional superhero. Let's come together and fight the guy. But to me, just seeing the hints of the story, the one-liner by Ben Affleck, I laughed out loud to that, or smirked out loud at least.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, so it's like,
and I did not laugh on the on the Snyder one at all.
Yeah, like that seems to me just to be, maybe it's like, okay, we're going to release this, let's pull some of the footage, slap it together, and show them how it looked and how it felt.
Yep.
But they didn't tell a story in that trailer at all. I don't know if that was maybe by design.
Well, I think that's just Zack. If you look at Zack Snyder's history of movies in terms of how he hypes them up, it's basically his MO. He doesn't really reveal a lot of story.
See, I think
And if you ask some people, he probably does it on purpose because there isn't much there. But like you said, it looks pretty.
Yeah.
And that's what Zack Snyder, that's his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Just like Michael Bay. Michael Bay does explosions, beautiful explosions. If you want the most complex scenes to look beautiful in a cinematic theater, that's who you go to.
Stunts and like car chases. What was Michael Bay's Netflix show or Netflix movie that came out? And, I mean, the reviews for it were horrible, and story-wise it was, acting-wise it was, but stunt-wise, like the car chase scenes in that film, like I watched it 3 or 4 times because the action parts of it just can't be touched. I mean, it was pretty fun to watch. So, everybody goes to movies to see something different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like here we are. We're talking about art, and art is subjective. It's not like arithmetic, where 2 + 2 = 4, and there's a concrete answer. You're literally appealing to people's artistic preferences, and so you're gonna have people that watch something and they love it, and you're gonna have people that watch something that hate it. And let's face it, Marvel has done a masterful job of appealing to the widest audience possible. But when I'm gonna be honest here though, I hated Avengers 2. I'm watching Avengers 2 and I was like, I wanted my money back. I wanted my time back. I mean, that's how bad I hated that film. And so when they were like, yeah, we're going to bring in Joss Whedon to save Justice League, I was like, oh, I hope they didn't bring the Disney execs. It was not a touchdown moment for me. I mean, and I really think when people sort of calm down from the hype and they go back and they watch Avengers 10 years from now, they're gonna be like, wow, this movie really was bad, So I don't know, but I think so long as you have a strong vision from a director. I mean, let's talk about the Nolan Batman films. Obviously, not playing to the strict canon of the DC universe, but still like masterfully done films, right?
Yeah.
That really, I mean, I was so done with the Batman franchise that when the new Batman movies came out, I was like, I'm not even going. The Joel Schumacher, you talk about bad DC films. Go back and watch those Joel Schumacher Batmans. They were steaming junk. And, so for Christopher Nolan to come back in and basically revive Batman after it was dead. I mean, it was dead.
Yep.
I mean, Batman Begins was not a box office smash. It was a sleeper hit. And the whole reason why is because people had really just sort of given up on Batman films. And so if you have a strong director with a strong vision, and I was the same way with Iron Man. When I went to see Iron Man, I was like, this is going to be the worst movie ever, and it was brilliant. John Favreau, in my opinion, brought the blockbuster back with Iron Man. I had as much fun at Iron Man that I did at Star Wars when I was a kid and Indiana Jones when I was a kid. I didn't think it was possible to go back and watch a movie that I would love as much as Star Wars and Indiana Jones. And Jon Favreau was like, oh yeah, hold my beer. Here you go. And so I think it comes down to having a strong creative team, having a strong vision, and carrying that vision through. And so anytime that creative process is disrupted, you're going to be, it's sort of mission impossible at that point. So I'm interested to see what Snyder can do, taking back his property and doing it the way he wants to do it. And I'm excited for the extended format. I am not a fan of movies that try and shove, like you said, try and shove 10 movies into 1.5 hours. I'm excited for the 4-hour version. I mean, TV, I think Game of Thrones and a lot of television has proved that if you have a television series with the budget of blockbuster films, you can get some really awesome TV shows. And maybe they should have started with the remake of Batman versus Superman and then done Justice League and just made it like an entire season of television. Because really, like you said, it's supposed to be all connected. Maybe if we got to see that entire cut, we would feel differently. Who knows? Who knows? So we might all go watch this and be like, they should have touched it. Should have let the whole dead dog lie, But we're wildly speculating at this point. But.
So I have a question for both of you guys, because I do think that we come from different perspectives on this. But as artists, when you guys watch these two trailers, are you looking for that emotional thing that connects you to the movie, or are you looking at visuals, authenticity to the comic book characters and things like that? Like to put it like for me, I get emotionally invested. Like I think to the Creed 2 trailer, like you go through it and he's talking about his father and this and that, and then all of a sudden at the very end, the fighter turns around and oh my God, it's Drago's son. I've shared it. I'm going, so I get all excited. Yep. I need that little Easter egg to suck me in, which is why I think the original trailer, it had little hints of the story and stuff too. It's like, okay, this might be cool. And the second one just seemed like a collage of clips. But for someone like maybe you guys who are more heavier into from the artistic side, I can see from a marketing standpoint, if you guys are more driven by visuals and authenticity of character, the hardcore fans of these stories can create such a groundswell that also can pull fans like me in, and maybe that was by design for them. And so I'm just curious, what do you guys look for when you're looking at that and comparing it to the original one?
You want to start, Chad?
For me, I think a lot of my motivation is the same as yours, but I'm a little bit old. I feel like I'm a little bit older than you guys, and so I'm getting to the point where I just want to see something new. Okay, I'm getting to the point where if I see a trailer and it's like a trailer that I've seen a million times before, my mind just says, okay, same old same, I'm done. And so if I can see something that's a little bit off the beaten path, that sparks my interest a whole lot more than seeing, the same thing I see at every movie trailer, but once again, that's me. That's just me. And that opinion is unique to me and to my, my way of thinking. Everybody's opinions on art are pretty much valid. I mean, we can argue, like you said, Steve, there's things we can argue, like bad CG. Everybody can agree on bad CG. Yep. Okay. Everybody can sort of agree on bad acting. I mean, there's parts that we can all agree on, but when it comes to, taste, that's going to be up, to the individual. I like Adam Sandler movies. I know they're horrible.
I'm the same way.
So there you go. Okay. Maybe I'm the last person you should be. Everybody in the world right now is like going, okay, well, I'm going to stop listening to this guy who likes Adam Sandler films. But, I think they're good for a cheap laugh.
He just falls apart in the writing by the third act. That's all. They start off fantastic, and then he writes the ending at the last second, I think.
He's the Stephen King of comedy, then. Yeah. Every Stephen King novel, at the end, it turns into a monster.
But at least Stephen King, at least he finishes his books. Okay? I mean, honestly, I have read more Stephen King, and I've enjoyed more Stephen King. And then you have guys like George R.R. Martin, where it's like, finish your books. Patrick Rothfuss, finish your book. So, at least Stephen King, we can say that we don't like the end of his books, but at least there's an end and there's another book coming like clockwork. Okay. So,
and I think just to leverage off what you said there, any good trailer gets the audience to want to know what happens next. I want to see this because I want to see what happens next. So that's based on character, and it's based on acquiring your emotional investment. Now, if it has all the pretty to go along with it, that just lends to the spectacular nature of it. But a science fiction slugfest can have the same I want to know what happens next to an intimate love story. Because at the end of the day, if you do not have the characters to want to follow their journey, like the prototypical hero's journey, then you're just not going to go.
And one of the things I did like about the Snyder Cut, and maybe I'm wrong, I think it starts with a picture of Darkseid.
Yep. Well, that's what they're hinging. Yep.
And that was the biggest ball dropped on Justice League, because people don't realize that everything in the Marvel universe is just literally something stolen from DC Comics. Thanos is Darkseid. So if they would have come in and scooped Thanos with Darkseid in a movie before Endgame, before Avengers, it would have been a well played move.
Yeah.
But the fact that they basically buried him, and because now everyone's going to watch this film and be like, oh, they're ripping off, the general population's going to be, oh, they're ripping off Thanos, and it's like, no. But,
I think
that was an opportunity missed. I think on DC, on whoever was promoting this, that was an opportunity missed.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's because they went from we're going to do 3 films to 2 films to 1 film, and basically they ended up just chop, and then the whole there's no point in having Darkseid being the big bad because you can't fit that in one movie. But it's almost like they didn't have to tell us anything about story or character in the Snyder trailer because number 1, everybody's seen it. Number 2, everybody knows who these characters are, and number 3, they just said we got Darkseid. Done. That was it.
Yeah.
Everything else is just here's clips that you didn't see in the original.
Yeah.
And we're making it. You asked for it. Here it is, folks. Lay down your $14.95 a month and get HBO Max to watch it. Which apparently is going to come with Wonder Woman now.
I'm loving HBO. Now that made me happy that they decided to release Wonder Woman. That made me really happy.
Yep.
I hate this whole, pushing things back 2-3 years to wait for COVID to be over.
Well, I think they finally realized that when the world does come out of this slumber and we're able to go to cinemas again, there's going to be such a backlog of movies that are going to be released. And Marvel, they're the big dog, so they can wait all they want. DC, they got to try to recoup some of this investment. And I think the Tenet experiment just proved they didn't lose money on Tenet, but they didn't make any either. So I think this strategy they have of doing a parallel release with Wonder Woman 84 is brilliant on their end. You want to go see it in the big screen? Go ahead. But you can also sit at home and watch it like Disney Plus did with Mulan. Pay your $14.95 and you'll get to watch Wonder Woman.
I wasn't going to pay $14.95
for Mulan.
I hate every single one of these Disney real-life remakes of their animations. I have not seen a good one yet, but unfortunately, I have paid to see every single one of them because I have a family, and they want to watch them. I'm just like, I was like, haven't we learned our lesson after every single one of these that these are all hot trash and.
That'll be the next podcast. That'll be the next podcast. Live action hot trash of Disney classic animation.
They're so bad. They're so horrible. And the animations are so good. I'm just like, I don't know how they make money. I really don't. I do not.
Nostalgia, my man.
That baffles me. It just baffles me. So if it was nostalgia, then the prequels to Star Wars would have been good.
That's another podcast.
Well, that's coming up.
Yeah, so we've got 2 more podcasts to do after this one.
Oh, good.
We have a plethora of well.
Yeah, no kidding. And trust me when I say Chad has very strong feelings when it comes to Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
We like controversy around here.
Yeah, so just a long story short, so it's like, I know out of curiosity, I'll probably sit through it just to see, like I know I have very low expectations in terms of story. However, I think I just want to see what was done different and what was the original vision. I think that's what's going to drive my interest to
Oh,
want to
yeah, the
watch
curiosity
this.
for that, for sure. I can see that.
Yeah, just to see Darkseid on any screen in live action. I'm not too crazy of the design they did for him. They kind of made him look like an alien version of Conan the Barbarian, where I much prefer they did classic Kirby.
Yeah, amen. And that is something that has plagued every DCU movie. The further they deviate from the comics, and I think this was the biggest problem with Birds of Prey. The fact that they did not have Harley in her outfit from the books almost immediately just destroyed the fan hype for that film. You literally turned off like almost every DCU fan with that pom-pom outfit that they first released. I think half of the fans made up their mind not to go see that movie just based off that costume. So I think the closer you can get to the source material, the more you're going to make the fans happy. And there's a reason why those costumes are popular. So I agree with you there. The stick to the comics and you'll do better and making your fans happy for sure.
So long story short, I think
for that.
Yeah.
40 minutes in.
2.5 people are going to watch this. Are you gonna watch the Snyder Cut on HBO Max?
Absolutely, yeah.
What about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll watch both because I, from a filming standpoint, I want to see 2 different directors' perspectives.
If you do it back to back, I'd love to do a follow up and just see what you think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like what we're doing
We'll do
with
a
Rocky.
watch along. We'll just watch it live on YouTube.
There you go. So, what are you up to these days, Chad? Why don't you share with us what you're working on and your website and all that type of stuff?
I am finishing up the semester at UVU, and then I literally have a mountain of freelance that if I think about how much work I have to get done between now and New Year's, I'm going to start heavy drinking. But I'm going to see if I can't get 6 months worth of freelance done in a month.
Well, while you're busy doing freelance, where can everybody get your work?
Yeah, you want to check out chadhardinart.com, and hopefully we have everything ready for Black Friday. And pick up your prints, pick up your. I'm working with Joshua to see if we can get the art books up there. I'm bottlenecking that process, but hopefully we'll have everything ready for Black Friday for
Nice
all the
piece right
Chad
there,
Hardin
too.
fans out there.
Yeah. We actually have one of your pieces. We have your Harley Quinn 2.0 hanging behind us here on the
Wait,
set.
let's see. Oh, I see. Okay, I see it over there. Yeah.
Right over there.
Right by the Pac-Man game.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of Harley Quinn or even just a fan of Chad Hardin's art itself, feel free to check it out on chadhardinart.com and MBartist.com. And also, if you want to get a piece of his original art, check out the auctions on Fridays between 5 to 8 p.m.
Oh, we're gonna do the Phantom Lady auction.
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Sweet. Yes, please check that out.
Wrapping her up.
Wrapping it up.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Steven for making his long story short.
He can edit and post.
And interesting enough, let us know if you like the first trailer, the second trailer better. Again, I come at it from a different perspective, not as knowledgeable about that universe, but I'm curious as to if I'm the only one. But that's it for now, and let us know your thoughts, guys, and have a great weekend. Take care.